Also, I don't like any trope that like relies on the lol AI bad.
I mean, to be fair, they also set up AI might be good, at least as far as the Geth were concerned.
I mean, even then, it was, I don't know.
That was kind of turned on its head. It was like, oh yeah, the Geth are the evil, AI that tried to kill their masters. And then the more you learned about them, it's like, no, they kind of got fucked over by the what the fuck is the name?
The Quarian.
Quarian. I was like Canary, and I was like, no, that's Dragon Age.
Alright, well, we will pick back up now if y'all are good.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
So as you guys go through the teleporter, I think I said maybe when some of you had already gotten up, but I don't have a map for this portion, so please forgive. But you find yourselves in a circular chamber, maybe 30 foot in diameter, sparsely decorated, made of stone. Um, you see there is a stair. It's sort of got a lighthouse construction where the outer ring of it is a circular spiral staircase where you can go up or down. Um, one thing that will immediately catch your attention, um, besides how quiet it is in here, is as soon as you all materialize and look around and look at each other, you'll see that all of your guardian runes have stopped glowing.
Those are the ones protecting us against the fog or something else?
Yeah, from the fog, correct.
Did they glow before we entered the Foglands?
They only glow when you are subjected to the fog.
Okay.
So there's fog in this room.
Yeah, so it might not be something to worry about because we might not. Teleportation, we might not be in the Foglands anymore. Or at least, like, in an area that is affected by the fog.
Are there any windows or anything around?
You look and sort of at the landing between where the stairs go up or down. There is one singular, less of a window and more of like an arrow slit, if that makes sense.
Can't observe much in this fuck, what's...
Mitty will look through the death hole to see what's going on.
Get an arrow in the eye.
You look out and you see it looks as though you've gone quite a bit up in elevation. You're no longer at the base of the Aranez Mountains. You're quite high up within them, as evidenced by the marble-veined stone mountainside that greets you from beyond this window here. Beyond, you can see the fog, but it's not flush up against the tower. There's about a 50-foot radius gap between the tower of the observatory and beyond, where there is a wall of fog billowing up, trying to fill the space, but seemingly unable to.
Does it look like it's being repelled by something, or is it just, like, can't reach? Like, is it, like, single form, or is it kind of irregular in shape of it trying to reach?
It's irregular. It's hard to tell from this distance, but it seems almost as if there's a strong current keeping the fog from filling this space.
Cool.
You'll also see, tilting your gaze down, on the uneven and cracked stone ground within this perimeter space, you'll see, just from your vantage point, 3 skeletonized, almost calcified corpses of dragons.
Ooh.
Shit.
Each of them is sort of half buried in a mound of the dry ash snow that precipitates in the fog lands. They are parts of them are fully calcified and almost fossil-like, but then other parts seem to have decayed, to where you can see the bones of the skeletal structure is all that remains.
So are the calcified parts more in the fog than the decayed?
All of them are fully within the safe space, but they are all. It's hard to tell with any specifics.
Gotcha. Lady will turn back to the group and will say, looks like we're safe from the fog for the time being up here. Doesn't look like it's able to reach.
Some sort of magic, or
Hard to tell. It looks more like some sort of wind current is keeping it down.
Off to the side, you can see Mish like fighting the temptation to just burn everything.
It's got you riled up there, man.
Oh, part of me wants to burn this room to the ground, because I think I know what they're doing here, and I kinda hate it.
You want to illuminate us on that?
So, and I really hope I'm wrong about this, but that dragon skeleton that we saw earlier, from what it looks like, and then from what we have here, it seems like they're trying to reanimate the past, like the long dead dragons.
Sweet.
No, not at all.
Sounded more
No,
like that.
we know what they were trying to do with the dragons. Well, we
Yeah.
don't know precisely what they were trying to do with the dragons, but we were told that they were trying to return their voices to them.
It was
Yes,
What?
return their voices by bringing them back to life. That's a big no-no. Once you're dead, you're dead. You don't get to come back.
I don't think that's quite it.
Regardless, I really want to burn this place to the ground, but most of my flames are tied to my rights. So you know.
Also, let's not commit arson on a misguided guess.
Let's not jump to
That's why I'm
conclusions.
saying I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Well, let's look around.
I really want to burn this place down.
We haven't seen any other indication of anyone here being a practitioner of necromancy.
Do I need to put you to sleep again, Mish?
That wasn't even funny the first time.
I think it was pretty funny.
As you guys have been having this conversation, a profound sense of silence pervades this entire place. Even from the outside, you swore you could see like the effects of a blowing wind, Mitty, but you don't hear anything. It's like the kind of quiet where your ears start to ring, if that makes sense.
Oh God, I hate that.
So you all jump a little bit when you hear something rustle in the floor above you.
Well,
Nothing.
There couldn't possibly be someone still alive here, could there?
I mean, we've seen more outrages. Regardless, it sounds like they know or whatever it is, knows we're here.
Well, I'll be the first to do something stupid, and I'll just call out, Antecedent Boros, is that you?
Your call will ring out for a few moments, and nothing will respond.
Wasn't he down in the
Yeah, he's
Forbidden
in the-
Archive?
the
I
Bible.
I thought we were told that he was in the observatory the last that he was.
No, he's in the Forbidden
Cataloged.
Archive. He said he locked himself down there. That we need to do something in the observatory to get down there, though.
I recall being told that the antecedent was last seen entering the Forbidden Archive, like, what was it, 60 cycles ago, or 600 cycles ago? Or no, 300, yeah,
Yeah, 343, I think.
yeah.
Guilty spark.
But yeah, nothing seems to respond to your call. Few moments of silence pass between you guys, and after a bit, you'll hear another shuffle of parchment.
Well, whatever it is, it now has the advantage, so
You said there's a staircase, like a spiral staircase that goes upward.
Correct, yeah.
Connery's gonna go up that and take a peek.
Mitty will follow close behind.
So you guys have to go up a few rotations before you'll get to what appears to be the top level of this observatory. As you get there, you find a very strange room, even for this arcanery, and all of the weird sights it's already subjected you to. The floor seems to be made out of a polished bronzish metal, and it clacks as you step onto it. You can see suspended in what must be 100 to 120 foot tall vaulted ceiling in here. Hanging well above is the bottom half of an extremely elaborate Magitech telescope that is opened to the sky above such that it can peek out and view into the heavens. The walls here are made of hundreds of concentric rings that just go all the way up the top, sort of like I don't know, like the layers of pastry or something like that. Each layer is the size of like the width of like a sheet of paper, and there is seemingly like a vellum type paper bound in each ring, bunched up like an accordion all the way through, except for a small part of it that is flat. And you can see what I can liken it to is the sheet music used to play a music box. If you guys are familiar with that, it's got so many holes through it, and there's just rings and rings and rings of these recordings, essentially, that are just stacked on top of each other that make up the entire walls of this chamber. You also see, sitting in a ring of faintly glowing books, is a tall, hunched figure.
Hello?
They just appear to be perusing the books casually, occasionally moving to the next one and turning the page.
Okay, Connery's gonna come fully up the stairs and step into the room. And kind of lean towards the figure and call hello again.
What you'll see is a sort of brown to gray travel robe that has been pulled over a body that, standing, probably is slightly taller than Mitty, somewhere approaching 9 feet tall. The body is fairly nondescript, but the face, as you come around to see it, is distinctly feminine. Somewhere around young adult age, maybe somewhere in the mid-20s. And yet, the more you look at it, the more it almost seems to give you the impression of having been carved into place rather than organic. There's a certain timeless weight to the lines that make up the face. Her hair, long and spooling down to the floor around her bottom, at one point was probably a really handsome shade of like brown, but it has gone towards a gray, mousy color at this point, and you see a laurel wreath of owl feathers woven through it. The most distinctive feature of her as she turns her bleary gaze towards you is that her eyes are milky, pupilless, with no iris at all. She'll turn to blink at you a few times, twice, 3 times before she'll kind of turn her head. Who are you?
My name's Connery. What's your name?
Eliona.
Are you the only one here, Leona?
Yes, I am doing research, if you would be so kind. And she turns back towards her circle of books.
Do you know that wherever that teleporter down there leads to is has been long since abandoned?
I got the impression of that, yes. The caretaker was most displeased.
Oh, is that weird little robot feller?
I would assume so.
Do you know where we can find the antecedent?
No,
Oh.
not really.
Wonderful help.
Do I recognize her?
You do not recognize the physical features at all, given that you haven't seen them before. But you recognize the name, and you recognize the feeling of familiarity.
Are you the Eliona?
Part of her, anyway, that wants to read these books, and you guys keep talking to me.
Apologies.
You know who she is, Vic? Or Denali?
Wrong campaign.
Wrong campaign.
It's alright, they're both very information gathery characters. It's an easy mistake.
And they start with V.
Yes. It's, well, an aspect of, I gather, my patron deity.
You watch her shoulders kind of perk up, and some of you maybe flinch as the head rotates 180 degrees on the shoulders to look behind her. And she'll blink owlishly at you, Venali, and again tilt her head in a very slow way. Oh, hi, Venali. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yes, it has been some time.
Have you been keeping up with your studies?
I've learned quite a bit since we last met.
Good. What brings you here?
Well, our group is here to cleanse this place of any evil elements, but personally, I am here to, well, much like you, learn what I can from old Tethys.
The head swivels back towards the books, and she'll pick one up and start to stand. And as she does, fill a decent amount of this cathedral-like space. And Biddy, you're really not used to people being taller than you.
Mitty will turn to Cal and go, is this how you all feel around me all the time?
Oh, absolutely.
She'll turn towards you, Venali, and extend the book towards you. And as her arm comes out of the voluminous robes, you see she has very long limbs that seem to be almost like double jointed, like she has two elbows or something like that. And will press the book into your hands to receive, and she'll say, "Yes, there is much that can be learned here."
Anything that shouldn't be learned?
Nothing shouldn't be learned. That sounds like the words of a queen.
Of course, that's what would interest me the most to learn.
I'm afraid I haven't come here for deep secrets. I don't know what is below. That's perhaps something I will study for another time.
Is there anything I could assist you with?
To have come here, you visited the Lunarium, yes?
Yes.
Tell me, what effect do you think the different phases of the moon might have had upon the creatures that lived here?
Would I have any idea?
Not really, no.
You said it was the elves, the dwarves, and was it the Zoan as well that had stories of the moon?
Yeah, because they've been around long enough to have records of when the moon still hung in the sky.
Would that be common, like, storytelling? Like, could I check to see if I remember anything?
Make a history check for me.
Okay.
Well, not bad for Mitty. You may have heard stories back with your tribe when you were a good bit of a younger cub of way back in the day how some of the different clans of the Beastkin would migrate with some of the whatchamacallit, the herd animals that they hunted for subsistence, and they would travel around, not entirely unlike the human caravans of DeLeo these days, tracking their prey. But since the moon disappeared, creatures tend to be a bit more stagnant, and so the population of the cradle became a bit more tethered down.
Okay, so yeah, upon recollection of this, Mitty will go over to Venali and he'll pull him in close and then kind of whisper to him what he remembers, and then kind of like shove him towards I'm blanking on her name right now. To his
Eliona?
patron, yeah, Eliona.
my friend here informs me, and then I'll go over those same details.
Yes, I thought as much. I heard a very curious story from a goblin in Rosmarinus. He said the stoats his father used to hunt never travel the way they used to back in the days. I thought that was very weird. I wanted to figure out why. That's why I came here.
Slightly unrelated, but currently in the middle of formulating a theory that the disappearance of the moon may have something to do with the disappearance of the Elven homeland.
I'm uncertain of what you mean. The Elven homeland's still out there.
It's not lost among the stars.
Not to my knowledge. Beyond the sky walls, hard for those that are not deities to traverse.
Curious then. The former caretaker here seemed to have been looking for an old country among the stars. I assumed that that might have been the Elven homeland, but perhaps not.
Old country. I have heard that before. I'll have to check and get back to you.
It would be an honor.
She'll kind of blink a bit more and turn to look at the rest of the group. Do any of you know anything about the migratory patterns of stoats?
What's a stoat?
It's a weasel. It's like a ferret.
Yes, it's as the Lupo says.
Yeah,
Fortunately,
Fish has no
I,
idea.
That's a shame. I'll have to find some other places to find such information. Where else would I find stoats?
well, you talked to that goblin. Their family seemed to, hunt or deal with those stoats. Maybe, wherever they're from would have more information on it.
You could always observe stoats in the wild to find out for yourself.
What was the name of the region with the caravans?
The ones you visited before?
Yes.
DeLeo.
You might consider consulting with some of the caravanas of DeLeo. I don't know if they have any experience with stoats, but they would certainly have some insight into migratory patterns of other animals.
That's not a bad idea. As I consider, part of me could go to Haven, and perhaps the other part track down those goblins again. Well, it has been very refreshing to meet you all. Did you need this space? Am I bothering?
Not
No.
at all.
No, not at all. We just came up here to look for, I guess we needed to find some information in order to get into the, Forbidden Archives down below. I'm not entirely sure what it is that we need to find.
You probably need to run another scan. That, she'll kind of point and gesture towards the sheaves of paper, like a music score that are set into the wall. You can make a new one of those, and that will probably be good.
Maybe he's gonna take one look at that and he'll say, "Someone else do that because I will break that thing."
Do you know how this device works?
Well, it's fairly automated if you're wanting to do what they were doing with it. And she'll kind of glide over towards a section of the control apparatus and wait for you to approach, and she'll show you how, um, kind of like how a church organ has different um, configurations and stops and stuff. It appears that the setting the observatory was left on is set to automatically look for something.
So just give it a scan and see if it can find what it's looking for.
I suppose it's worth a shot. Who knows, we might get lucky. I guess I will go ahead and make that scan.
So you activate the sequence. You hear, all of you, as it kind of fills this room, the mechanical sound of gears turning and different sort of Magitech sequences as the different panels of the wall start to shift. The apparatus above the telescope whirs into life and it begins to reorient and calibrate itself. After a series of mechanical motions, you'll find on the section of the wall nearest to you, the different rings begin to shift. Some of the accordion stacks of paper seem to be carried by a mechanism up to higher rings, and a new fresh sheet is placed into the ring nearest to the machine, which immediately begins to be punched with holes as it almost like a lie detector machine style starts to mechanically read out what it's detecting.
Is there a means to look into the telescope?
There would be, yeah. So you'd have to. It's quite a bit higher, so you'd have to go up like some different ladders and catwalks that are arranged here.
I'd be extremely curious to do that.
Okay. As you go up and try to look through the viewing port of this telescope, what you'll see is not the night sky. You'll see clouds, the daytime sky as if from a view high above, like where the birds would fly. And you see a cluster of islands hanging there in the middle of the light blue, their bottoms suspended by gems giving off bright glows and bundles of light that seems to have coalesced into hard material, keeping them aloft. You see between these different floating islands, bridges connecting them, and lush life, forests, and different biomes of mountains and deserts and all of the like suspended above within this skyborne area.
I have any idea what I'm looking at?
No fucking clue.
Kind of figured I'd ask. But it appears to be floating islands in the sky. Floating through some sort of magic with massive gems.
While while Vinali's doing that, Mitty will walk up to God, I'm terrible with names.
Eliona.
Yeah, to Eliona. I'll say, I don't mean to bother you, but would you permit me one question?
Her neck will swivel to look at you, and you'll see her eyes narrow. And she'll say, potentially. As a rule, I hate questions.
Okay.
Just ask the question.
If I hear that from where I am, I'll just shout down, "Answers are better."
Oh, okay. I think I know what you mean. Do you know the answer to? And he'll like kind of slowly like vomit out these words in a way not to anger her. The you seem to be someone who would know information on the Tethians. Would you have stumbled upon information on how they managed to go beyond the amber? Is it the amber glide or the amber stills that Yomi is trapped?
Yes.
Okay.
Together, they are called the Amber Twins.
Gotcha. Thank you. How they managed to traverse beyond the Amber Twins.
She'll kind of blink owlishly for a few moments and sort of process.
Word vomit.
To my knowledge, Tethians did not do much beyond the southern seas. There was one machine capable they made.
What was this machine?
She's going to say this answer, and Cal, you will recognize the name of what she says. She says, the Charybdis. Cal,
Yes.
you know the Charybdis as essentially a Atlantis tier sailor myth of this sunken Tethian super ship that supposedly, if you believe every drunk pirate in Orodell, is fucking full of gold, but no one knows where the fuck it is.
Okay. Does anybody else know of this, or is it just me in the group?
That's the kind of story that hasn't really percolated outside of the Dell, so you'd probably be the only one that would know it by name.
Okay. Well, if anybody is interested, I'll relay that information just as quickly as I could. That way, not to distract from the conversation.
Yeah, Mitty would definitely be interested in that. He'll kind of turn to you, Cal, and try and get every bit of detail that he can get.
Yeah, make a history check for me, Cal.
Okay.
I'm detecting a pattern with roll 20.
We all have one modifiers to it as well.
Do you need me? You want me to roll again in case it's being funky?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, the Charybdis was as far as the facts go, was some sort of ship or machine or something that Tethys deployed. Its whereabouts are unknown, given that the Empire's it basically it hasn't been seen or heard from since the Empire fell. But there's all kinds of really awesome ghost stories about it, and it is kind of like a Indiana Jones tier thing that some privateers would love to go and find and explore, like something like that. It was said to be the only ship or vessel, however you want to say it, capable of sailing beyond the Amber Twins, and that it apparently did.
Mitty will kind of ponder to himself for a bit, and he'll say, well, it's not a lot, but it is something to go on. Well, he'll turn back over to Elena. You wouldn't happen to know more about the Charybdis, would you?
No. As a rule, I don't like Tethys very much. I try not to come here.
Well, you're of good company on that regard, then.
They had quite a lot of information. So much they probably didn't even know all that they had. But as a people, they were too fond of questions and not very fond of answers.
They also didn't seem to be fond of the gods.
No, many of my kin were killed or imprisoned by them.
Well, I thank you and very much appreciate this this gift that you have given me. Is there anything I can do to repay it?
I do not give gifts. Your assignment when next we meet, there is a particular variety of moth that once lived within the cradle, but it vanished with your winter. I would like to know what color its eyes were.
He'll kind of think to himself for a minute. There's if you don't mind waiting a bit, there's the possibility that I can get you that answer sooner than you may expect.
That's why I've asked it of you.
Oh. Sorry.
An assignment one can't complete is a silly task, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I will be sure to find that out for you.
And in so doing, you yourself will learn much. So, Vinali, you are able to look through your telescope, and you've seen what it's not a super high resolution or detailed shot. Like, you can't see any specifics of what's on there, but you see this collection of skyborne islands, and it's seemingly myriad, like I said, biomes being supported by it.
It does, at the very least, seem to be aligned with what the telescope is aimed at. It's not like I don't have any indication that it's magically showing me an image of somewhere else.
You're not sure exactly what the functionality of the telescope is to know if the image is magically sourced or not.
That's actually a good question. And I guess actually Benali will get that answer in character. Midi, when you were looking out the window, you said the fog was being kept away by winds. Were there any clouds that you could see?
Uh, uh, I don't think you mentioned clouds other than the fog.
Yeah, not really. You could see the clear space around the tower, but then beyond that, kind of just became the gray soup of the foglands.
Yeah. I don't suppose there was enough headroom. Well, I guess I could have probably. It was fog above us as well.
Couldn't quite see from your vantage point.
Gotcha. I didn't see any clouds, but it was mostly just clear, empty space until it hit the fog.
I'm not sure if what I'm seeing is what's directly above the observatory or not, but well, perhaps when we submit this record to the archives, we'll be able to. There'll be some device that will be able to read to us what it says.
Is the telescope built into the ceiling, or is it like other observatories where it's like the ceiling opens up to?
There is some tolerance for the telescope to be adjusted, but it is mostly closed.
Okay, so it is possible to get up there.
Correct.
Climb the telescope and go outside.
That's yeah, that seems. I mean, if we want the answer to the question, that seems to be the best way to go about it.
Well, if you think you can manage it without damaging the telescope, I don't believe there's probably anybody left alive that could repair it.
Me? No, the thing looks flimsy. But Connor or Cal could take care of that, though.
Yeah, I guess I haven't climbed enough shit. Connor could try and climb the telescope carefully.
Alright, would you like to do so?
Yeah.
So you scamper up the ladders and the different sort of catwalks to get to the upper level with the telescope to where Benali is, except you make a bit of a leap of faith up onto some of the mechanisms that seem to actually make up this apparatus. As you move here, could you make me an acrobatics check? So you start to climb your way, going from gear to supporting clockwork arm, and then eventually to the telescope body itself, which must be, like hundreds of feet long, and it's a incredible piece of engineering, but you're not sure if any of the main civilizations of the world right now could replicate something like that. Those of you below watch as Connery starts to sort of monkey shimmy his way up, arms and legs wrapped around it.
Parkour.
That he does start to slip to the right, going more towards the right side and then the underside of it, and he has to squeeze his arms on tighter. But eventually you are able to pull yourself into maybe a 4-foot liminal space. You may have to kind of hunch over to get in here. Just a bit of a crawl space between the very ceiling of the observatory and where you can work on some of the some repairs or things could be done to the upper level of the telescope here. And you can see just a little bit into the sky above. You'll see pretty much nothing above the telescope immediately, and probably within a few tens of feet above the tip of this observatory, the fog folds back over like a dome on top of this place, but is being pushed away to where it can't come in from the top.
I'm assuming I can't see past the fog.
You can see this to an extent, but it is fairly opaque, and you don't immediately see islands up above.
Does looking harder show me anything?
Look as hard as you want, and that's about what you'll see.
Alright. I'm gonna carefully scamper my way back down the telescope and inform everybody that I saw no mountains. Just more fog.
Well, then either the telescope has some means of viewing through the fog, which would be an amazing coincidence considering it couldn't have possibly been built for that, or it's magically showing us somewhere else.
I'm more curious on why the fog isn't affecting this place.
I imagine probably by design there was some sort of spell cast on the area that was meant to keep clouds away from the end of the telescope, but that's just a guess.
Bit of a lucky coincidence, then, and being the only place unaffected by the fog lines.
Curious is what it is. If it's by design, then whose design, I should say?
Well, the Tethians.
But why this? But why this area specifically?
Well, I just said the telescope. It would behoove them to not have clouds blocking their view of the skies, so they probably, I don't know how, but probably enchanted the winds in the area to constantly buffet the clouds away. It just so happens to make a nice dome of protection against the fog.
You could learn that spell.
Would be very handy to travel through the fog.
True.
those of you that are still back down on the ground, sort of in your huddle, you hear a slight breathy sound, and those of you that are around there, turn and look up, and you see Heliona, still on her feet, has nodded off and is sleeping.
Like standing?
Completely standing.
Mood.
That's impressive. Though
We've bored her.
mayhaps we should put her to bed. At least
I would not recommend bothering her.
but she's gonna be sore when she wakes up.
Hey, miss, haven't you ever heard the saying, let sleeping gods lie? Or, I guess in this case, let sleeping gods sleep standing up.
Wait, what?
Miss, don't poke the bear.
Ish just raises a finger. And just looks at Mitty curiously.
Do it.
If you want to keep that finger.
Counter just calling from above. Do it, coward!
You remember what he did to the shield, right?
Yeah, I liked that shield.
Hey, do you like your finger?
I prefer it not to be snapped off if that's what you're asking.
Then don't do it. Simple as that.
Anyway.
I suppose I'll start making my way back down from the telescope's viewing port.
Were you able to learn of anything? Or anything usable? Anything useful?
Well, useful is a relative term, but the fact that there's a series of floating islands in the sky is certainly interesting. Nothing I've ever heard of before.
Connor's gonna hold on tight and, like, slide down.
Did you hear the squeak?
Yep, you guys collect back at the bottom floor while you've been exploring and having your conversations.
Oh, did we grab the new printout?
I was gonna say, yeah, the printout has been automatically seemingly scrunched into like an accordion bunch and has been bound by a single tight rope of like leather cord and is seemingly just waiting in the wall to be removed.
Well, that's convenient.
Guess I'll go ahead and grab it.
Alrighty, so you guys have what you assume is, by this place's standards, new information to be logged in the Forbidden Archive.
Yeah.
That's through the Violet Room, right?
Yes.
Back downstairs.
Do we want to poke the proverbial bear and head all the way down manually, or should we just take the lift?
Why would we take the long way?
Just see if there's anything else we can find.
What rooms haven't we gone to at this point?
So we've already been in the Lunarium, we've been in the Solarium. What else? What other floors are there?
The Arcanobiology room, and then I believe that's really basically it, because we'll have to go to the Violet Archive.
So, do you want to see what's in the Arcanobiology room?
I mean, if anything, just to confirm what they're doing, that would be worth it.
If there is some evil entity in here. That's probably where you'll find it, and you do need to cleanse this place.
Yep. It would be good to purge it.
Oh, if we're getting into a scrap, then I'm okay with it.
Alright. Until then, how big is this room exactly? The room that we're in? The observatory?
This part, the observatory is a pretty consistent 30-foot diameter circular, like lighthouse tower. This portion of it has like a 120-foot ceiling. It's huge. The room that you were in beneath that was a lot less tall, but still the same, like size wide.
Is there anything that's like takeable or anything that we can just pilfer?
There appears to be, like the one Venali is now carrying, that this room has been recording many such bundles of data, which are being stored along the many rings in the wall.
Mm-hmm. Like Mitch will go over there and just like peruse them. Is there anything that like is notably that stands out?
There's you have no idea how to read anything because this is it's holes punched into paper and patterns. There's no script on it.
So it's braille?
I likened it. It's music box scores, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Well, I can't read any of this. Can you read this?
Not a clue. I'm hoping there's a machine down in the Forbidden Archives that will allow us to peruse the findings, but I'm honestly not sure what to expect.
Hmm. Oh well, shall we?
Well, next up, Arcanobiology.
Yeah, that. Be strong. It's not just burn everything to the ground yet. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh yeah, thank you, Juju.
So horizontal dot, horizontal dot, horizontal dot, horizontal dot, vertical dot, horizontal dot, vertical dot. I think I'm getting.
Arcana scrolls. We used to get them when I was working at Second City a lot.
So, as you guys are just going to leave Eliona sleeping there.
I mean, like, I offered to just, like, put her to a bed or something, but apparently don't poke the sleeping bear.
More spread.
And, like, so she'll just turn to Valley. So, is it safe to leave her here?
She's a god.
Wait, what?
I'm sorry, were you not here?
Did you miss the
No.
part where I said that she was my patron deity?
I'm sorry. I was probably just trapped in my own head and wondering, like, this whole place needs to go. And I'm sorry, what?
You should probably pay a little bit more attention.
I was. It's just, this is a bit much to take in.
If
So, oh, okay, yeah, never mind. We can go. I'm sorry.
yeah, now do you understand why I said don't fuck with the god?
I thought you were being, a bit. What's the word I'm looking for?
Facetious?
No,
Dramatic?
thank you. I thought you were being a bit overly dramatic there. My bad.
And to be
Sorry.
fair, you're a cat. It's only fair for you to be easily distracted.
You'll just see her ear twitch at that. Thanks. Let's just go.
All right, you guys group up and descend back down to the medium level. You see the teleportation circle inlaid in the center of the room there, and it appears to be dull and not lit.
Is there a similar system on this side?
Nope, there is nothing in the room except for the teleportation pad.
Eddie will he'll stand on the pad. Then he'll
Nothing happens.
nothing. Okay, then he's going to you know, like when you check the stability of something, you kind of like jump on it. He'll do that.
Okay. Nothing seems to occur.
Well, I'm out of idea.
Can the building reach us from in here?
Hey, building, did you hear us?
Query acknowledged.
Can you tell us how to activate the teleporter so we can get back?
Return teleporter inoperable until sealing maneuver, or how should I say, until the seal is broken.
Where's the seal and how do we break it?
Remove the antecedent's key from the floor below.
Alrighty. Thanks for the help, building. It's kind of weird just calling you building. Do you got like a name or something?
No.
No, it is.
Well, I'm gonna call you Bill.
Nice.
Bill the building.
Not Bob.
Bob the building.
Like how we're 0 for 2 on remembering to ask for names and not getting one.
Yeah, let's just ask the building what its name is.
You know what? Maybe it has some sort of designation, or maybe Mitty's finally realized, you know, we don't get the names of things. Maybe I should start asking shit.
Actually, no, we're not 0 for 2. We're 1 for 3 because we did ask Eleona.
So you guys turn your attention to the downward staircase and follow it in search of this key, or however it is that you're supposed to find.
Yeah.
The floor below, you'll find something akin to like an engine room or like a boiler room. It seems that the middle section was kept clear of this, but here at the bottom floor is where some of the mechanical parts that power and feed the contraptions above are housed. It's hotter. There's no windows. There's no light in here. The rattle and sound of clockwork machinery fills the space. You guys will see right in the center of the room is about the same size of the teleporter pad is this circular bronze disc about the size of a person could stand on, about 5 feet across. Embedded in it is a sword hilt of bronze and copper.
Excalibur.
It's kind of a weird tangential question. Just something that occurs to me. Throughout this entire time, have we seen any, like, skeletal remains of people?
No, you have not.
We've seen ghosts, but no bodies.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Connery's gonna approach the sword and poke it.
Okay, it is less of a it reminds you of the cylinders that Mish found. It's less of like one solid piece of metal, and it is more of a puzzle boxy clockwork contraption.
Okay, let me take a look. can Mish pull the sword?
So you start to pull it and you encounter resistance. It appears that around where like the guard would be on the sword hilt, the guard of the hilt has split into four, like thin claws that are hooked into this disc on the ground.
Does the disc look like it's part of the puzzle? Like it has moving elements as well?
No, not really. There's nothing. This is a little bit less puzzle seeming to you and more just it seems to be secured.
Is it like how the shield could fashion itself to the ground?
Not terribly dissimilar with like more of a Tethian technological bend.
Okay, so like Mish would actually start fiddling with the claw-like bits. And I'm assuming would I have to roll like in straight in check for this, or
You don't have to roll, just or do you wish to unfasten it?
like she wants to be able to pull it from the floor and actually take it with them.
Okay, so you tinker with it, and one by one are able to slightly extend the individual grappling claws, and they untether from their mounting on the disc below, and as soon as they are lifted, retract back into the blade. You do that all 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the last grappling claw sinks back into the hilt lifts about a foot, and you can see a stream of concentrated high pressure air exuding from the end of it.
Okay.
Oh, no, that's
Alright.
interesting.
Somebody want to find a window and check and make sure the fog's still staying away?
Well, we have the talismans on us.
Yeah, as you guys are saying this, like the pressure of the wind is slowly, like inches by inches, pushing the sword more and more out of the pedestal.
Hey, Vanelli,
Yes.
is Eliona fine with the fog?
I would assume so.
You know what they say about assumptions?
Yeah, we should probably warn her.
Not the worst idea.
Alright, so go before this thing fully pops off.
Try and, here, let me help you, Mitch. And Mitty will try and, help Mish keep this thing in position for as long as he can.
Okay, you guys kind of hold on, like the pressure of it is such that it's not going back down, but you guys work to keep it from like champagne corking up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, just try and, like, it's not going back in position, but at least try and slow it to give time.
Yeah.
You guys, some of the others begin racing back up the stairs, and as you pass by one of the central window, the air slit there, you can see outside the fog wall wavering and some of it beginning to fill back into this space, just collapsing like a gray tide that begins to fill the once pristine space.
It was at this moment Mish realized, oh, she fucked up.
I mean, we needed to do it anyway. Unless you
All
want
of,
to die out here.
all of your talismans light back up, and as the first person rounds their way back into the telescope room, you hear the avian-like screech as there is a scratch of hooked claws on metal as the form of Eliona grows to fill more of this space, and the humanoid features give way to the bird as multiple wings and arms and scrabbling hooked taloned claws appear out from under the robes and begin scratching around seeking purchase before, with a horrible wrenching sound of metal and stone, she forces herself up through the ceiling, knocking the telescope apart and up into the sky above.
I think she's fine.
Well, that could have gone better.
And Mish will call out, are we good? This thing's putting up a fight.
Yeah, she left.
Alright, Mitty, it's good.
3,
Yeah, I'm
2,
going to
1,
climb
jump.
back up as high as I can on what's left of it, just to like peer out and see if it seemed like she's away and clear.
Yeah, as you get up there, seems to be long gone. It seems that she is making as much of a beeline out of the fog as she can.
Well, that's good.
Down below, those of you with your hands on the hilt, you relax enough to let it come, the blade come out the rest of the way from the pedestal. And like a champagne cork popping, there is a slight intake of breath sound as the seal is broken. And then instantly, like shutter speed style, this compressed air vanishes and you're just holding a lifeless hilt.
Okay. Well, that was exciting. Mish says as she just like pulls it up and to examine it further. So were there any special properties other than like the tethering that it could do?
It seems to be yet another piece of Magitech that you are not sure how to operate.
Can I investigate it?
I'll do this. Roll an intelligence check for me, and this is where we're going to end the session.
Okie doke. A.
Another 17.
You do read Old Tethian, right?
Yes.
You start to fiddle with it, and you move some of the contraptions apart. And in doing so, you find engraving upon the hilt in Tethian runes. You read the name of this sword is Numa, and it says, "I am the breath of dragons." And that is where we will end the session.